choose.
You're better at the engineering.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
Everybody all set?
I'll take any
We'll get
part.
started.
Yeah.
I'd like to call to order the August 17th, 2022 regular meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority. At this time, we'll start with public comment. So we'll come on forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Morton. My family and I own and operate Lily's Seafood Grill and Brewery over on Washington. We are coming up on our 23rd year anniversary there, and I wanted, first of all, just to take one moment to thank the DDA for all your support, not over those 23 years, but particularly over the last 2 years. It's meant a great deal to us as a business and as members of the community, so we truly appreciate that. Lily's is a part of the Royal Restaurant Association, and I'm actually here to read a statement from Carrie O'Neill, who is a co-owner of the WROK on 3rd and is also the president of the Royal Oak Restaurant Association. Carrie couldn't be here this afternoon, so I'm reading this here on her behalf. We have polled many members of our association, and we are overwhelmingly in support of the DDA investing into the proposed skating rink. Let me start with the obvious reasons. First, the impact of added tourism and visits to the park are going to be beyond significant. One only needs to see how the Winter Blast Festival performed last year to see the impact and to see that it wasn't even in prime skating season. Speaking for myself for a moment, we felt the effects of Winter Blast all the way over on Washington, and winter activation of a skating rink is a clear right choice of action. We also have to look at Campus Martius in Detroit and the ice skating there, which starts annually in November, as a clear example of foot traffic and positive outcomes when a skating rink becomes part of a downtown's park space. Imagine the number of folks that will enjoy restaurants and establishments like Lockhart's, Vera Asian, Freshies, Ale Mary's, Royal Oak Brewery, Motor City, Gas, Astoria Bakery, Give Thanks Bakery, who I just had the pleasure of meeting today, as well as others as part of an afternoon or evening skate in the park. And yes, this is a case where something positive like this will have a profound impact on the WROK on 3rd as well. And all of these businesses, as you know, have had their struggles over the past few years. There's no reason not to think that impact on retail will also be significant. Second, while it's not my purpose in sharing my thoughts this evening, there can also be no question on how cool of an attraction this would be for local residents and for quality of life and good times for families, couples, and skating fans. Finally, what better way to activate our downtown park space? It's a cool space, but in the winter, there is no way the park will have the traffic and popularity it does during the summer, and an ice skating feature will certainly make the park shine and be full of life. I think city leadership has to think of the reasons why this can work, not why it can't. And speaking of reasons why it can, look at what the John Witt's team did with their installation of a skating rink at the Farmers Market last year. They are a capable group and should be trusted with the lead on this production. Royal Oak should absolutely give this a try, as there's too much positive at stake not to see how this works, and myself and the Royal Oak Restaurant Association are asking you for your vote in support of this proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Morton.
Yep.
Yes, sir, in the back.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate the opportunity to address the DDA this afternoon. And I, Michael Pessendorfer, I live in Royal Oak. My company is here located on Main Street in Royal Oak. I spend a lot of time downtown. I would like to also express my support for the ice rink. I was part of the endeavor last year. It was a fantastic thing. As a matter of fact, so many times, whether I was in CVS or some other place in town, somebody would stop me and say, were you part of that ice rink thing? That was very cool and very exciting for Royal Oak. I was there on a almost nightly basis. A lot of rental skates went out. That means a lot of kids were getting to try ice skating maybe for the first time. I was out there on the rink. I think it's a terrific attraction for all the kids. So much so that M3 Investment Services is going to up our contribution to support the rink to $40,000 this year from $25,000 last year. So we're not just asking, we want to get right in there and help everybody that's participating in this. We appreciate the efforts of the city to try to make this thing happen. We know that it's not easy. We didn't build the park to have an ice rink, but it sounds like a great addition, and it sounds like maybe it could be a long-term possibility, which would be very exciting for the city. I spend a lot of time downtown on a regular basis eating and doing my retail shopping, and I know that the foot traffic in the wintertime is a lot slower than it is in the summertime, so this would really make a terrific deal. I also would like to put my support behind the organization that's running this. Again, I had the opportunity to participate last year, and I think the John Witt's organization did a fantastic job running this. I know that, again, I was there on a regular basis, and it seemed to run smoothly all the time. And obviously, the participation was fantastic. So I support this, and I would hope that the DDA would be able to find a way to support it also. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Afternoon. It's been a while. Bill Harrison, 2729 Trafford, and property owner in downtown Royal Oak. I want to address 4 items: parking meters, Washington events, ice skating rink, and bicycles. So let's start with parking meters. The DDA is the parking committee, but has been locked out of the MPS Century parking meter non-performance issue. I was on the DDA for several years ago, when the DDA became the parking committee, and we were always used and abused. I can continue to be confounded as to why a system allegedly working in 30 other cities is not working in Royal Oak. We now know that Royal Oak is the last remaining installation. There have been 2 visits to the commission meetings from MPS representatives with no improvement in the system and no on-site assistance for customers as requested. Meanwhile, I've got new glasses. I can't see with or without them. Meanwhile, media reports continue to air, which further discourages customers. Over 3,000 people have signed the petition to eliminate the Century parking system. Additionally, the parking fines have been doubled from $10 to $20 per violation. This was done in order to maintain the city parking fine revenue at $2.5 million per year, while sharing fine revenue 50-50 with MPS. The exorbitant fines further discourage downtown customers. We have heard impassioned pleas from the retailers to fix the system. Businesses on Washington are losing customers and revenue. You are affecting people's livelihood. MPS's failure to cure is unacceptable. You need to start over and restore front-end angle parking on Washington. While I was on the DDA, we considered and rejected back-in angle parking when the system was initially restored on Washington. The MPS contract provides for termination only if the average revenue is less than $150 per month per meter. However, common law allows for contract termination due to non-performance. It should have raised concern when the contract language prohibits the city from making disparaging remarks about the MPS system operation. Once replaced, the DDA should engage in an aggressive advertising campaign to regain customer support for the downtown. Now, as far as Washington events are concerned, on Washington, they should not have paid entry until after 5 p.m., as did Pride Fest. I understand that that was very successful, and it did not interrupt with the retail businesses. Business customers are reluctant to pay in order to shop at local businesses. Who would want to pay $5 or $10 to go and shop someplace? It makes sense. There is no evidence that other pay-to-enter events increased local retail businesses. I have heard lost revenue figures of 50, 60, and even 90%, notwithstanding the fact that they bring in extra staff, that the retailers bring in extra staff to avoid shoplifting. As far as the ice skating rink is concerned, I object to the idea of having the ice rink in the park. There was a lengthy publication or written version to this by the city departments pertaining to possible damage of the park, etc., etc. As far as I know, other than some of these other people here, only the commission supports it. Now, bicycles. I've mentioned this before. Bicyclists should be ticketed for violations of obstructing traffic and no lights at night, as are motor vehicles. Individuals riding in traffic or in packs rather than single file at the curb should be ticketed. I was just a couple days ago, I was on 4th Street headed toward Washington, and there was a couple, and these were not kids. They were riding their bicycles right in the middle of the lane going west to east, and the woman kept looking back and could see I was behind them, and they continued to go. It just irks me. I mean, if we want to encourage bicycles, let them behave and obey the traffic laws just like the drivers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Yes.
Hey guys, my name is Ethan Friedman, representing MI Nutrition, right downtown off of Main, in between 4th and 5th. I am here today to speak in favor of providing funding towards the skating rink. As you guys have seen, even for restaurants, but more so for retail, winter can be a lot slower season for the downtown area. Winter Blast last year is a great example of just a taste of the colorful and different crowd that got drawn into the city, in addition to the regulars and the people who live by. I think it brought a younger crowd too, which is, I don't want to be prejudiced here, but in my own experience, the people around my age are a lot more keen to spending money without thinking too much about it, so that will definitely support the bars, the restaurants, and other like-minded business around, in addition to retail establishments like myself. I know that all the cities surrounding Royal Oak too has just such a young crowd that is, I'm not going to say untapped into, but could be a lot more prevalent in this area. I know that this area is where all of my friends moved to when they finished college, so there's a prime example of that demographic that I am speaking of there. I think the park is beautiful now, but in the wintertime, it's desolate. Nobody goes down there. I'm kitty corner from the actual park itself, so every day I walk to my car. Not a lot of action in the wintertime. I also think that I don't know, it's a family-friendly environment too, so it won't be too problematic. There's a parking garage right there where people, they're not going to have an excuse with the parking situation to not come down and experience that. Look at how Campus Marsh just affected downtown Detroit, another downtown area that's primarily run with food, dining, restaurant establishments, and added like a whole other layer for things to do for people, and spend a day, spend an afternoon, support all the businesses around it, and all the time surrounding actually spending time in the park. So all in favor. I think it's a great idea. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Hennessy.
Good afternoon. Carol Hennessy, Royal Oak. First, I'd like to talk about the Washington parking. I understand that they were going to set up a group to do a study that was going to take 2 years. 2 years isn't going to help the parking situation or downtown Royal Oak. It's by that time you're going to lose half your businesses on Washington. As you can see, I'm handicapped. I need a handicap spot or something easy to get into. And you can't find any handicap spots. You park at a regular place and the meters don't work. And so as a handicapped person, you're having a hard time doing things. I used to be downtown every week and sometimes more. And because of the situation now, I can't do it. And I can't walk from a parking structure to like Pronto's or Fifth Avenue or even Lori's store. You know, it's just too difficult. And I think it's just, why do we need some company to come in here to tell us what's wrong? We know what's wrong. We know what has to be done. So let's just do it, you know, and get that city commission to agree to it. It's ridiculous. Because I love coming downtown and I love coming to all these places. And it's pathetic. And so many of my friends, and I've got grandkids that love coming down here. And they say they don't want to come down here anymore, you know. And I don't blame them. So you got to figure something out soon or else we're going to be in really bad shape. And then I'd like to talk about the ice skating. I love ice skating. I've skated till I was probably 50 years old. And my kids and my grandkids, they all did it. And I am not against ice skating. I am against putting it out here where the monument was and is. It's going to ruin the whole area for the spring when we use that to honor our veterans that died for us. It's just a terrible place to put it. I mean, I don't think it was a bad idea to have it here by Farmers Market. And another suggestion would be here at the 4th Street Park. That wouldn't be in anybody's way. It would be close to downtown. People could go visit the restaurants and bars, and that's, you know, just one of my suggestions. And I mean, over $400,000 to do this. Are we paying for all of this? From what I understand, the majority of it we're paying for, except for those people that are sponsoring money. Mr. Witz isn't paying anything out of his pocket. And I find that terrible, because who's making the money off of this ice rink? He's going to be making it when he has his Winterfest. And I just can't imagine what it's going to look like when it's over and done with. And I'm just upset with the city and the DDA. We've got to start recouping our monies and fixing downtown Royal Oak so everyone can come down here, not just the 20 and 30-year-olds. I mean, I've lived here in Royal Oak for 56 years. And like I said, I was down here every week. And I would love to be down here every week, but I can't. Not with my disability. And I don't see how we're gaining anything by putting all this money out there for Mr. Witt. And I mean, I'll go a little bit further with Arts, Beats, and Eats. I am offended by him saying that these businesses on our streets, on Main Street in Washington, cannot go out and sell anything in front of their business. I mean, I'll remember there was an art studio on Main Street, and she put some stuff out for like a sidewalk sale, and he told her she had to get it back in or he was calling the police. Well, to me, that's wrong. We're here all the time. He's only here for a couple weeks, a year, you know. We got to start getting things in priority here. The residents should come first, and then these business people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hine.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm the other half of the Harrisons. I live in the same house. I'm going to change the subject a little bit. We had this meeting. It was quite a meeting. The look on his face a couple times as some of the speakers, it was like, oh my God, what have I done? Anyhow, Daniel, thank you for bearing with us. As most of you know, I am a retired 35-year downtown retail business. I am now the half of the ownership of 3 downtown buildings that have retail in all 3 of them. And they're very special to me, every single one of them. When Bill made the investment to buy a building downtown, well, we didn't know. This was back in the late 80s. There was nothing down here but rumors. And it was quite, honest to God, there was nothing going on, nothing. Well, I decided I wanted to open my business downtown. I looked all over. I looked in Berkeley. I looked this. I wanted to be in downtown Royal Oak. Plus, the rent prices were great. In 1983, I opened my business. I was paying $6 a square foot. That was my contract. It was great. I was there for 30 years, and then I moved north up to Cattell, but for the last 5 years I was in business. Before I talk about what I came to talk about, I will say about as far as the skating rink, I don't like where he wants to put it. But you've got other things you've got to think of. Attendance. In the middle of the winter, during the week, you've got kids in school. Probably the most occupancy or skaters will be at night or on the weekends. Is there enough? The other thing you need to figure is where are you going to put the tent where the people can put their skates on. They aren't going to come in their cars with their skates on. They've got to put their skates on and where to take them off, and they aren't going to wear their skates to the bar. The third thing is bathrooms. You can bring in kids, you have to have bathrooms. Okay, that's all I got to say. My ex-boss, before I opened my business, I managed a wholesale warehouse. And my ex-boss always had these little sayings. And one thing he always said to me is, Laura, bigger is not always better. As a DDA, you need to think about something other than the bars and restaurants. I know. Do you know in 1990 we had 99% occupancy downtown? In the 90s. 99% occupancy. I sat down one night, I took one of these old advertisement things and I wrote down all addresses on Washington. And from 4th Street to Lincoln, there were more than 50 retail stores there. It's time to promote retail. Everybody can find the restaurants fine. It's time we start talking retail. These are the people that are suffering because most of them are independent businesses. we need to change. As far as events are concerned, and we've got talking about that, make retail number one. They'll find the bars as they're going from retail to retail. They'll find them. No problem. What we need is events downtown. We don't need these giant thinking events. What we need are small events. In the 80s, we used to have homecoming weekend shopping in the fall. We had all kinds of people walking around downtown. Spooktacular. The retail businesses started spooktacular. And the customers went from building to building to get, with the kids, to get their candy. Instead of going to one location in one place. Go building to building. That way, the customer, the parents, oh, I've never been in this store before. They go in and look. How about something to celebrate Thanksgiving? How about a treasure hunt in the retail businesses? Christmas, we used to have a window decorating contest. And the people would go downtown. How about a scavenger hunt? That they have to go find certain things. Go in the building and they, we used to, remember when we went in the car and you had to go from place to place and you had a hint as to where you should go. I can't remember. Anyhow, sidewalk sales. Guys, we used to have, be able to have good sidewalk sales. And allow signs for the businesses. You put out all the outside parts for the restaurants to sit outside. And then you have a cow, because one of the retail businesses put a sign out saying, this is my business. And they had a fit about it, the city. Well, you can't put, it's the stupidest reason I've ever heard. They said one time, well, you can't put the sign out because if it snows, the snow plow can't do the street. Well, the guy's not going to put the sign out in the middle of the snow. Come on. Use logic here. Anyhow, as a former retailer, I say, yay for retail. We've been hit hard, and I know we have, by that germ that went around. I can't remember the name of it. Anyhow, the other thing that I think, I must say, I really like the ads about where the guy from Nora Leather is talking about a store, and then he's walking down the street to the record store, which is one of our buildings. And also, they went into Lost and Found, too. So I thought those were really great ads. Put them on, somewhere else. I really liked them, but promote the retail. And by retail, I also mean our hair salons and things like that. Things where customers are coming into town. Okay? And it's daytime people. And like Carol said, make it more accessible. I mean, I haven't been able to get out for a month because I had eye surgery. So now I can see you guys too. So I kind of stick home. But, and most of the ideas came up with myself, Sandy Johnson, who owned the Hallmark store, and Kathy Sullivan, who owned Just Manos. I'm the only one left of the three of us. But, I want to say, think retail for downtown. We've got some great restaurants. Now we've got to think retail. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Dietrich Noir. I'm the an owner with my wife of Give Thanks Bakery. And I'm here to speak as a retailer and as a resident of Royal Oak. I actually happen to think that ice rinks are sort of the center of town in the Midwest and in the Northeast. And so I'm very much excited about putting an ice rink at the proposed location. I walked the location this afternoon. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought that that piece of grass was put there so that in the winter an ice rink can go on it. So I think it's a good idea. I also think that it is very inclusive. I think it's very accessible. I think it's a true sort of amenity to the community. And if those things are important to us, which they are to me, then I think something like an ice rink is a great idea. I have 5 kids, but the last one is 15. She walked last winter every day after school with her skates to the ice rink to go skating, and so did many other kids and many other adults for that matter. So I'm in favor, and I just wanted to express this to you guys.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment for today?
Hello, thank you for having us here today. My name is Jill and I live here in the city. I'm walkable distance to downtown. I am also an ice skater through my entire young childhood. I didn't take advantage of the ice skating that was here in the parking lot last year. I didn't walk around, I didn't check it out, honestly, but I did like the location of where it was. I thought it was very welcoming. I thought the hours were cut off kind of early sometimes. I guess sometimes after I got off work and finally thought maybe I'd go check it out, it was kind of closed already. But personally, I'm just the opposite. I'm confused on the setup of the park, of what happened over there with a hill. I don't understand the concept of the hill, of the structure of the park, or what the benefit is of having a hill over there. I haven't paid attention to what's going on with where you're going to set up the new ice rink over at the park, if that was your intention. But I have noticed a lot of people walking through downtown, and they're sitting over there in the nice plastic Adirondack chairs, and they're out there on the Saturday, Sunday afternoon with their dog drinking coffee. And I think that's a nice setup. I think you could benefit from having an ice rink over here and maybe having a bonfire over there, or maybe having something special and unique over there, or hot chocolate night at a bonfire. I just, I don't know if I'm keen in spending the money of having an ice rink downtown all the time. I think it takes out the coolness that it's here for a week or 2 or 3 and then it's gone. I would more apt to see the city have here we have the ice rink and it's going to be here for 3 weeks, come on down, versus having it drag on and on and on and on for the entire winter. I don't know what cost effectiveness that it is. I'm afraid to see how much money this is going to cost me as a taxpayer, honestly. I don't have a lot of money, and my wages are not keeping up with the demand of inflation. I sure hope my city is spending my money wisely, because I sure don't have enough money to keep supporting what we've got. I hate to say that. My money is not going up. My money is coming down. So I guess that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment and move on to the next agenda item, approval of the meeting minutes from July 20th, 2022. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting.
I have a motion to approve
I second.
and a second by Director Osbeck. Questions? Add-ons? None? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Item number 4 is expense item. These are our monthly expenses for informational purposes. And you have the opportunity to ask staff any questions if needed. Anything? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on. Item number 5, downtown outdoor ice rink sponsorship. All right. Let me get to here. Okay, you've all received. No, that's not it. Okay. You've all received the packet from staff here, and there's a lot to it, and including resolutions from the City Commission that have been passed on to us. There's also some budget projections and so forth. What we're being asked here today is if we want to participate in this, that the commission has already approved the concept and so forth. So I guess I will leave it at that, and I'm going to follow a procedure here. I guess we would allow Mr. Witz, if he wants to address the board, now would be the time, and then we'll come back for some question and answers. Mr. Witz?
So, hello everyone. I guess I do want to address and give some background on the program, and certainly then be available for questions, because there's been information, that has been out about the rink and the process, and certainly want to, be able to answer questions and give, thoughts and insights. The idea of the ice rink came from the success of the Winter Blast and the impact and the positivity among residents in the community. And, traditionally, as you see in Detroit, the prime skating season is more early in the season, and we ended up having a lot of success in February. And I think keeping the skating rink up, it was really more moderately attended and successful, through the end of February and early March. So it was mentioned to many stakeholders, people, citizens. The idea, emerged about having a rink in the park and making it into a winter, attraction, for the downtown. So there's been a lot of discussions that have gone into this, and then, and on our side, what we're proposing to do is to produce the project, from start to finish, arrange for the rink, the power, the restoring of the sod in a timely manner. There's been discussions that it won't be ready by a certain time. Like Campus Martians in Detroit, it'd be laid down in April. It would be ready to use by early to mid-May, just like it would be in Detroit. And we have verification from the Detroit folks as well as a supplier on how to do that. So just want to say that there won't be any missing of May activities and events, just because I know that's been an issue that's been that's been mentioned. But on a bigger picture, the idea of having a rink that draws steady traffic, starting in the holiday season, as Detroit does it in mid-November and running through, is just an incredible opportunity. The costs of this are significant. We went to the city commission. The cost at the time we went to them was $431,000. In taking it to the commission, we at the commission's suggestion, and having heard that in advance, we also started the idea of reaching out to the DDA for some of the support on the project. But just to give everybody an example, of the money that's invested, the way it would lay out is that sponsorship would cover costs, and again, just contrary to public information, we are guaranteeing to raise $100,000 in sponsorship. Those are all asks that we've made and put out and put together and put the work in. We have not hit that number, but I'm personally guaranteeing that that covers that percentage of the costs. There is an ask out to the DDA today. Our ask specifically is $125,000, and again, part of that relates to the fact that we anticipate the power costs to be a little bit more, and I'll answer questions or give some background, into that, into the research that we've done. That leaves a balance if you, take it, and we'll get to the numbers in a second, but it leaves a balance of $269,000. I'll explain how we get there. But the balance is covered in two ways. The commission is backing up that balance. That's their risk. That's their, if the DDA comes through today. Anybody who skates, any fee, again, contrary to what might have been said here today, all of the money taken in from skating, use, and rentals goes right back to the city. That number is projected to be in the $120,000, $140,000 range. I have projections here. And that would leave the commission with the liability on it and a similar investment to what the DDA is. So you have a high expense number, but you have this perfect collaboration of four entities coming to the table to cover the cost of it. And all of them have constituents that benefit. You have our sponsorship that we're raising, which may end up being more than 100. You have the DDA's contribution, which supports businesses that pay into a tax capture, and the impact on those businesses. You have the commission's contribution, which benefits taxpayers, residents, the imaging of the city, the marketing, and then you have the people that use the rink. Everybody is paying in the $100,000 range-ish to put this collaboration together. It is smart collaborations, and Detroit and the Detroit DDA and folks, public-private partnerships, these all go in, and the fact that some companies have stepped up. One of the companies that's committed to sponsor the park, which makes a big statement, is Henry Ford. Their building is right there. The fact that they've spoken and committed a sponsorship, speaks to their feeling about that as a stakeholder. We have very moderate projections. As far as use of the rink, there was, some comment about how many people will use this. We have special days projected where there'd be 300 users, and there's 10 of these days. These are holidays, mostly in the December, November time, and that's only 300 skaters a day projected. Saturday, Sunday, and Martin Luther King Day, we have 19 days like that, and we only have 230 skaters projected. And then on Fridays alone, we have 110 skaters projected. And these revenues, weekdays, to the point that was made about not heavy skating on the weekdays, we only have 50 skaters projected. If you add this revenue up, these conservative numbers, you have $140,000 that would go into the project. Again, that would lessen the commission's liability, who's taking essentially a $269,000 risk. So that, again, just states to it, we could have far greater numbers than this, and the city of Royal Oak gets all the revenue. So I want to, again, state that. Our business benefit, as was accurately stated in public comment, is that we would have the use of the rink during the winter blast. It would save us a critical expense on an event that ended up not making money, but so having a great response and enjoyment. And in exchange for that, we would be managing the rink from start to finish, all labor, all marketing, all selling of sponsorship. all laying of the sandbox, all the things that go on. So in exchange for the 3 days that we would use it, and on the days that we use it, the skating is free to everybody. So even on the days we use it, we're making the skating free. So there's not even any revenue coming in on the specific weekend that we're using the rink. So that's the way we've always done in Detroit. Winter Blast was founded as the event for Super Bowl. It was the City of Detroit event for the Super Bowl in 2006. That represented the region. And we're following the same playbook. So that gives some background into our incentive and, you know, the management of it, staffing all this stuff, building the sandbox that would level the rink on there. And again, just for stating, we will have this back to exactly the way we found it. And we are proposing this on a 1-year basis, you know, to see how it goes. 1 year. And if it goes, you know, well, I think everyone will find that'll be something that we would want to have back. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to.
I have to leave. Can I make my comments? He's done.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I had one more thing to add. I'll add that if that's okay, and then I'll be open for question and comment. And that's just the power situation. We had projected 60,000 for power based on some information we had related to the farmers market last year. We expect that cost to come in more in the 120 range. It still makes the numbers I said the same related to the expense responsibility. And that's part of the reason why there was a slightly increased ask than what we originally were going to take to the DDA. There's two aspects of the power. One is a box that DTE needs to provide. I've spoken to DTE and gotten a background on the approximate cost of that box. And then there's a contractor that has to wire power from that box to a power source in the park. And I've gotten an understanding of a couple quotes on what it would take to do that. So I have a background on that, and that's why, you know, that is one thing we will have in advance. A comment was made to me about any overages on this, and there would be no coming back to the DDA. We are taking responsibility for the project. Once we submit this budget with the power in there, there'd be a contingency would be on us, not on the DDA or anyone else. So there you go.
Okay. Are you okay to sit tight for a minute?
Oh yeah, I'm here for questions. I'll sit in the front row whenever you're ready with questions.
Thank you.
And I might not have covered something, so if a question comes up, I might.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just want to say, remember that the Winter Blast, the commitment that we made does include an ice rink already. So no matter what, Winter Blast will have an ice rink whether we spend this extra money or not. And when we designed our park, we painstakingly included all the residents and stakeholders in that park. And overwhelmingly, they rejected a park with an ice skating rink. They wanted a low-impact park. So now we're doing the exact opposite, which we spent years developing when our residents' input rejected the idea of a park with an ice rink. Now, the whole summer, we could not program the park because we wanted the vegetation to take hold. So now we are being very short-sighted and spending a lot of money, and this is a success. We're spending a lot of money each year, almost $500,000. I'd rather that money go towards attorney fees to change the parking on Washington, which is killing every single business on Washington. Use that money to help all the businesses, not just the bars and restaurants in the winter. So one, it may affect the use of the park and programming all summer. We are already getting the ice skating rink in our budget for Winterfest. And there's long-term consequences. It's not a little bit of money. If this is a success for the bars and restaurants, fantastic. But I'm so sick of spending money, $100,000, $200,000 every event just to help bars and restaurants. There are other businesses in downtown where I look that need help. There's hair salons. There are yoga studios. There are retail stores. This ice rink will not help my business at all. At all. Do I like ice skating? Yes. I took ice skating in college. I love ice skating. It will be an ice skating rink in Winterfest, no matter what we've already budgeted for. Why destroy a brand new park that hasn't even had a chance to blossom yet for an event for the winter that may be successful, may not be successful? I vote no. And I'm sorry, my daughter's getting married. I have to look at wedding dresses.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, I want to get back procedurally the way that I like to do this at this time. So we have Mr. Witz here right now. So I'd like the board, if they have some questions for Mr. Witz, to bring those up at this time. And also, we'll go ahead and my next step would be to see if staff wants to add anything or if we have any questions for staff. So we can combine all of those right now if we want. So this is for the board members only. Ask questions if need be to Mr. Witz, to our staff, and then we'll go from there. So I don't know if anybody has some comments at this time or questions.
I guess I want to, if we can address the winter blast investment versus this investment, what is the difference?
Okay, Mr. Twing, can you give us some leeway on that? Or?
Well, your winter blast is $600,000. That's your sponsorship of it.
60.
60,000.
60.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
You said 600.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of 100. Yes, we're done. Yeah, and this one is dependent upon what your action you take today. The request actually came from the city commission in a resolution.
Correct.
For a minimum of $100,000.
So, but this is then 100,000 here and 60,000 there, correct?
They're separate items.
I guess my next question to that is it appears the city commission's already authorized 25,000, so regardless of what our vote is today, there is an ice rink per se, potentially.
No, this is contingent upon the sponsorship at the DDA as well. There's different contingencies that the commission put in their approval. So that's the understanding that there would be the funding from the DDA as well as the power issue is a little bit more complicated and it's not straightforward. But for our purposes today is looking at the investment from the DDA. So if any of you viewed the meeting or saw it live, the commission had considerable discussion and saying that this is the purpose of the DDA to set the groundwork and make the investment in programming such as this. So they're highly encouraging you to consider this request, and so I will be supporting this. But there is other details that need to be worked out. The commission will be discussing it at the meeting next week, and that's also contingent upon formulating an agreement with John Witz and Associates with the city as well. So the city is in essence taking the risk, but also the city commission said that, well, if the DDA wanted to take the lead and make the entire investment, and depending on how the revenues come in, but that's pure your discretion. So there's some element of sponsorship that comes in. Also to be aware of for on the ice skating rental, that the way that this is designed during Winterfest, that there will not be charge for that. So just be aware that on the financial pro forma that there would be some dollars that would be coming out, but the activity over an extended period of time would support what the calculations that he's putting together, of course, weather dependent out of that. But at least the rink itself, that if we do have a mild warm winter day, that the rink can still operate even if the air temperature is up to 50 degrees. So that's a little bit of the good news that's out of that. So there's a lot of pieces to put together, but time is really of the essence that we have to make that decision and make the commitment to move that forward, because the funds have to be expended. The power issue is DTE's part of it, but it's also having a contractor that can do the wiring. It's a a construction project that there's other variables that because of supply chain issues that we just don't know and probably won't know until close to that time. But if we look at contingencies as a backup, this would not be ideal, but as a worst case scenario, it would need a diesel generator to provide that power. So, but I think that the commission does have some interest of additional uses for power that can fund or provide electricity for activities year round for other things, whether it be concerts or PA equipment, things like that. So there's some sort of infrastructure improvements likely that we'll end up making one way or another, having them rank or not. So just kind of for what that's worth. But I gave you a real long-winded answer, but just realize that that's what they bringing to us and asking for the DDA board to address.
I guess my other question is, while we have a resolution in front of us of providing a sponsorship amount, is our approval also going along the lines of where this will be located?
You mean to sponsor provided to whom?
No, that if we agree to the $100,000, the DDA agrees to the $100,000, are we also agreeing to the Centennial Commons being its placement, regardless of other issues being worked out?
If your resolution is simply to provide $100,000, then yes, I would say it would be going and it would probably end up in Centennial Commons. If your resolution was you're going to provide $100,000 provided it's located somewhere else, then you'd
go back to the clarity.
Yeah, okay. I guess, sorry, one more point, Tony. I too like ice skating. I don't love the location of this ice rink this year. I do think that we are being short-sighted putting it into a park that I don't think I'm using the right terms, but cured, meaning it isn't settled, it isn't a fixed park that's been around for 2, 3 years, 5 years. I'm not an expert in parks or design of parks or what the restoration of a park would be after an ice rink. But I do feel that an ice rink central to this location is an appropriate event or placemaking for the DDA, and I would love to explore other areas like closing off Troy Street from the beginning of City Hall right here to the end to 3rd Street and putting the rink here or in 3rd if we could in closing it off for a season. I think it would lend well to the campus that we have today and actually blend the campus a little bit and give people an opportunity to park either in the parking structure or over here. But I guess my vote, unless someone can sway me, is really to vote this with to agree to this funding, but not to agree to the location.
Director Yazbek.
Couple comments, and then I want to go into a question. But I just the $25,000, by the way, the commission put that up. But if the project doesn't go forward, they lose that.
Got it. Thank you.
And I guess I do want to ask a question about the Veterans Memorial, because that was, I think, a very valid concern. But to preface that, I don't think our role here is to evaluate what's going to happen to the park. Director London said we're going to do something that destroys the park. I'm quite sure the City Commission would not vote 6-0 to move this forward if they thought the park was going to be destroyed. And I'm sure that the staff provided them with a lot of information regarding that point, because that's certainly a valid concern. So, the request from the City Commission to us is to support the project that they've studied and they've been briefed on, and the staff has worked with them. So we spent over $5 million for that park. We should probably use it in every,
Season?
logical way, every available way that we can.
I don't
And
disagree.
as far as the condition of the park, that had to be one of their main concerns. I'm sure they question, the appropriate professionals about that and what that would do to the park and how the park would recover from that. But the one question specifically that I did want to ask is where is the rink in proximity to the Veterans Memorial?
It's in the pictures, Tony.
I have it up here in a second.
Yeah.
I guess, Tony, I'm not disagreeing with it, but couldn't it be year 2 or year 3 in the park? We've just taken a whole year of not programming the park because we were concerned about what we've just placed in it not being able to take. That's my concern, and I would almost think we need another winter season so that come summer we could program a lot more into the park, and we could then program winter into the park. That's my concern.
To answer your question, the War Memorial is located where the arrow is. The ice rink is indicated, at least planning-wise, in this location. If you can see that. The hill is over here, and the stage platform is in this location. Star Dream is here, so the War Memorial's there.
Oh.
That makes sense?
Yes. So it's not in close proximity to the Veterans Memorial.
No.
But if there was any negative impact to the Veterans Memorial, you, as the producer and putting this together, would make sure that it was in perfect condition. I hate to make you get up.
Get up, is that? There would be no specific attraction or traffic or any guidance or direction toward the memorial. We've stated the traffic flows, and just in response to the Winter Blast, the contributions for the Winter Blast are for one weekend's festival that does actually have a budget of near $600,000, and there's a ton of marketing, traffic, impact, and that is for that weekend. This is to run a 3-month program beyond it, so it's a different expense. On the grounds, we are only using the straight grass area that can be absolutely replaced with smaller traffic crowd. So this is not going to, the park has been agreed and has cured to the point that people can use it freely, and we are not bringing in masses of people for ice skating. The projected max skating is 300 people, and we will return the sod, which is the only thing. We're not taking the skating rink or any of the activities, the tent to change in, all of that stuff fits within that circle. All of the restrooms, everything fits within that circle of straight grass. No hills, no special landscaping. It is just grass, Commissioner Rosbeck. And from our perspective, we need, the vision here, the impact of this, and the worthwhile investment is to see this in the park. Now, it was brought to our attention to research Troy Street and 3rd Street, and we even researched the lot just to this other side of City Hall, and it does not fit to get everything in that we need to get in. The chiller, the rink, it would break into sidewalks, and all the stuff that you would need would not fit into that space. So I just want to let you know that we thoroughly researched that, and we're looking at it, especially 3rd Street, because our contention in the park location, it will have the greatest impact to business if it's located, where the park is. What's closest to the park is 3rd Street or Williams. Do any of those streets, could that get it done? And it doesn't get it done. It just logistically, it can't. So I say with two things, our involvement in the project was contingent on the park, and certainly ask for your consideration. Again, the city officials will be thorough, as I know, in protecting the space. We will be thorough in protecting the space. I want to give one example of that. We had approval from the city to put a zip line in the park for Winter Blast. We had that approval. Upon our investigation, of coming in. We had talked to the zip line operator, and there could have been some damage to one of the sidewalks in this newly formed situation. With 2 days before the event, we went to neighbors, worked with the police chief, and we moved the zip line out of Winter Blast, and we were prepared to not have it. You know, our credibility with the city is of the utmost importance. From my heart, the location in this park is going to have the best impact, it's going to look the best, it's going to activate the best. And the part of the park that we're using is straight flat grass. And we will have that exactly back to where it was. And there is not a better location in the downtown where we could put this, and we looked at it. So to put a contingency on that vote would not allow it to go forward. And you know, we will handle this with the city. You know, I've had 10 conversations with the head of DPS just in the last 2 weeks. You know, even, you know, one of them from a bed where I couldn't move, just in the research of how to make sure that, you know, we do this well, and that, you know, we take care of things. And again, we will have the park exactly the way it was. And the amount of foot traffic is not projected to be overwhelming. This is projected to do, you know, turn over 300, 400, 500 people, not festival level, you know, crowd. So I wanted to address, you know, the question and just as far as what area we're using and so forth. And I do not mind getting up and down. It is very good for me to do that. So thank you. If there are any more questions.
Back to the table here. Does anybody have any questions that they need to have answered for staff?
No.
Okay.
Well, this also went to the Consumer Business Marketing Committee meeting. They did not provide a recommendation, so I didn't include a suggested resolution in the memo because they didn't provide one as a committee. So you would have to make a motion here at the floor as to how you wanted to proceed.
Director Yazbek.
And we can maybe have some more discussion after, but you know, I think this board has to have confidence in the commission, the city manager's opinion, and the staff, and because they brought this to us, this request to us, requesting money, not really requesting you know, a further analysis of the project itself and the positives and the negatives. You know, I'm going to make a motion to support or to honor the commission's request and offer a sponsorship for $125,000 participation in the ice rink.
Support.
I have a motion by Director Yazbek and a support from Director Brake. Discussion.
So I guess, so my next question is then, the memo that was attached here that went to the commission has been relegated to not be the staff's opinion, I guess, because this memo in here is a staff opinion of the commission not taking action on this proposal. So I find it, so I just want to understand, did something happen between that meeting and now that makes staff change their mind?
So that recommendation, first and foremost, let me clarify, this was not staff against the ice rink, and that was stated at the meeting and written in the memo as well. It was more of a concern of the financial arrangement. As I mentioned before, this will be coming up this Monday on the City Commission's meeting because we do not have the contract finalized, but this is a significant contingency as part of it. So and then there'll be some further discussion about the power requirements and construction that would have to come about pretty quickly. So there's times that staff makes recommendations, and so they the elected leaders can say they take that under advisement, and so we support the determination that they've made, and so and that's where I'm offering my opinion, and of course the support of the motion as well. So there's additional details to work out. We haven't crossed the finish line just yet. So
Commissioner, one very critical thing that was just mentioned here, and I just want to address it.
Yeah, I have a motion on the table here, so you're going to have to hang on a second, okay? Is there any other?
I do have one clarification on from way this is set up right now. The request came from the city commission for the sponsorship. If you approve the $125,000, that sponsorship will go to the city. Now they can enter into an agreement and do something with that, but the request came from the commission, so that's where it would go.
Okay, so I do have just a couple quick questions. One being, according to your comments, Mr. Twing, then this funding will go to the city to cover the cost as the city sees fit regarding this rink and at this location and so forth.
Right. That's correct. My understanding is the liability falls to the city to cover the cost. So.
Okay. I guess I need some clarification, Mr. Brake, as to is there an agreement currently at this time with Mr. Witz, or does that still have to be amended and developed as we move forward?
An agreement in principle, but as far as a written agreement, no, that has not been consummated. So that's still being worked on.
There could be changes to that agreement potentially as we move forward.
There could, but as far as the essential elements, you're hearing it right now. I don't believe it'll change of any significance. It gets into, it's more of the legal contract language, things of those natures where there would be back and forth between the parties.
Okay, and then I guess my second question then is, if things don't work out with DTE regarding the availability of the equipment, regarding the availability of them being able to install power at this location, then all these agreements are kind of out the window a little bit.
That is correct, and that's what the city commission discussed, that if we're not able to meet all these contingencies, then the rink will not be at this location, and the funds, that we will not expend the monies. And so in that instance, this is not a case of the DDA paying regardless. No, it's only in the instance that we, as Mr. Witz described, that the parties come together, that the sponsorships occur. Only in that instance would those funds be allocated from the DDA to the city.
Okay. That being said, though, and I guess I'll direct this to Mr. Twing, would it not be prudent for Director Yesbick's motion to include that contingency?
No, I think you can if you wanted to, for clarity, but I think if the event doesn't go forward, you're not going to provide the sponsorship. I mean, that's
okay.
So we're looking at this as like an official sponsor of the ice rink, not. So okay, that's not how we.
So I wanted to address that with you if I could, Director Rosbeck. What this still has the ability to do is, by us being a sponsor and helping the city to cover those costs, the city, should they deem they wish to, and I'm not saying that they would, could go back with Mr. Witz and say, to your point, we would like to see the potential of, or we would like staff to look into different locations or such. There is that possibility, and I'm not saying that would happen in any way, shape, or form. as a commission decision moving forward. But I was going basing that response as to where you had said your motion. And I think that was what you kind of wanted to say, and I think that ability is still there. How feasible, I don't know, but I think that ability might still be there.
Well, the only caution I would put to that is you have a proposal in front of you with certain parameters on it.
Right.
If you're given $100,000 or $125,000, you're given it with those parameters attached to it. So
we're sponsoring an event, basically.
My last comment, just for the board before you vote, it will take a unanimous vote for this motion to pass.
And then my last question, Mr. Twing or Mr. Rake, I'm not sure which. Mr. Witz stated there was a significant increase in the projection for the power usage cost. I don't know how that comes into play in terms of
funding, right?
Funding and so forth, and whether that makes any difference to the DDA per se, in terms of, you know, going from 100 to 125. I get why the ask is there, and I understand that, but I'm not sure that any of us really know what that might be, unless you can enlighten me in some way, shape, or form, as to how that projection is determined or such.
So I would say part of that is a one-time cost, so for that installation. So if we do make this an annual event, you wouldn't be looking at that expense other than the use of the electricity is what it would boil down to.
Okay.
So the projections that have been given to us could be anywhere from I believe 60 to about 100,000, but that would certainly be used for other activities, for PA systems, for summer concerts. There's any number of things that would be used in the future. So look at that as a one-time fixed cost that's built in as part of the sponsorship. So
okay.
Right. I guess my last question to all of this is, so while we are talking about this, we're basically purchasing equipment for the future by doing this, and then every year we're going to be asked for another donation to set this rink up again. Correct?
We would, but we would also have the benefit of the analytics that would show the number of skaters and the utilization, and at least this would be a data-driven decision. There would certainly be anecdotal information that says, the number of additional customers that patronize, whether it's restaurants, hopefully retailers as well. But based on that information, we'd have a better sense of that. We only have partial information because the rink was only up 3 weeks last year, with that being kind of a new event. And there's arguments that you can make both ways of the visibility of the farmers market. I will say, not to digress too much, but if we were to look at a location like that, the farmers market already has booked activities in that area, so the things get messy no matter where you place this. So just be aware of that. So that's why we're supporting this location, and the commission may look at purchasing the refrigerator unit. Possibly. I'd say that very cautiously. I'm not saying that we will, but if this does become a reoccurring event, instead of renting that we get into the business and, like any other recreation activity, and store that away and plop that down, and it could be at a different location, but at least for this year that the commission wants to, felt pretty strongly that the ones that voted on this at that particular location. So,
I guess my last comment before we vote is just to say I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the understanding that the staff isn't necessarily against the ice rink again. It's more about the unknown variables. I appreciate hearing from our businesses that we support through the DDA, that they are looking forward to this ice rink. So I believe I'm in a positive area now that versus being on the fence. So
thank you. I too was on the fence on this one, and in the middle, as you guys all knew in the last couple of meetings that we've had. But after receiving more information and hearing some of the comments tonight was very helpful. I do not agree that this is a restaurant thing. We've heard from 4 retailers right here before us, that are in support of this, and like the idea of bringing people to the downtown, new people to the downtown, and let them experience it. I think it's, I don't like to use the word, the risk, but I think it's worth the 1-year experiment. This could be a home run. We could hit a home run on this. It has the potential to do that. So learning everything that I've learned within the last week, and I have spent, I can't tell you how many phone calls and messages and hours that I have spent on this issue. I will be supporting it. Director Yazbek, and then I'm going to call for the vote.
Just a final thing. I would agree. I think it does. I hope that it does help retail also, because I believe retail is very important to the downtown. And the difference between just having the rink for the Winter Blast and having it for 3 months, I think this is an opportunity, not a burden, because it was very popular last year, and some of the public comment. If this is a hit with Royal Oakers families and their kids, I think it truly can be a home run, and so that's why I believe the commission supported it so strongly, and why we should follow suit.
Thank you. Okay. If there's nothing else, I am going to call for the vote at this time. We have a motion by Director Yazbek that was seconded by Director Brake. Nothing else? Then I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none? Okay. Thank you. Next item on our agenda, item number 6, Design Engineering Services, Fifth Avenue.
We'll kind of tag team this a little bit. The DDA may recall that you've provided funding in the amount of $1.25 million in your development fund budget for potential improvements along 5th Street from Center Street to Lafayette. The staff has contacted 2 firms that are under city retainership. One was Feiss and Vanderbroek and NF Engineers. They submitted proposals. The infrastructure committee did review those with staff and is recommending that you select Feiss and Vanderbroek as the preferred design firm for Fifth Avenue improvements, and authorize I sign your proposal based on a final contract. Their contract is roughly $70,500. You'll see, I'm not sure which page it's on. And then the next step after the review would be go into and approval of the plans would go into construction documents. I won't go through the proposal, but I think the committee's thought was that Feiss and Vanderbroek has done several similar projects in terms of the types of improvements that the DDA is looking for along Fifth Street, rather than just streetscape and road improvements, which is kind of Noack and Frauss's expertise is doing those. So even though it's a little higher cost for the design, as I said, the infrastructure committee is recommending approval.
Director Yazbek.
I think it looks like a fine proposal. My suggestion would be that we pull this back a little bit. I think, infrastructure is one thing, and I don't know, Chairman Safaya said he wasn't at that meeting, and Director Keith wasn't at the meeting either. So who was at the infrastructure committee meeting?
I think we had Director Legasso, and we have
Shirley Smith and
Shirley Smith. Yeah.
So just one DDA member was there. What I would like to do is give
two DDA members. Sal Legasso, Mike.
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there?
No. What I would like to do is give Fleece and Vandenbrink, or whoever it may be, a little more definition of what we'd like to see on Fifth Avenue. Some of the businesses, I've talked to a few of the businesses, and not unlike the park initially, there was some, before it went to the professionals, there was some discussion, some discussion about what elements might work there. And I think it's even more important for Fifth Street, because it's not just a road, placemaking or there has to be more to it. This is the epicenter of the downtown, the entertainment district. I think there's different elements, maybe music, maybe some kind of light show. There's different things that I think we can incorporate. And to be fair to Fleece Vandenbrink, I think we should endeavor first to give them a little bit better description, or a more full description of what we're looking for there.
I think that's part of the proposal, though, is to do an in-depth public input.
They cited
and
three.
Before we invite them to come in, I would want them under a retainer of some fashion so they could hear it. But that's part of their proposal, is to do public input and meet with the people. They're not going to have a preconceived design.
Right. They said they're going to have 3 meetings and some public comment, but what we've done effectively many times here is to assign it to a committee, to flush out some things that are important to us, give those to the professional staff or professionals first, and then let them proceed with the meetings and the public with just some further definition. It's not like a park. It's different because it needs to be activated in a different way. And Fleece Vandenbrink isn't knowledgeable about those ways. They don't have a business in the downtown. They haven't been in the downtown. They don't know what happens on the weekends in the downtown. So I just think to help the process, to help them, better define or provide what they think we're looking for, I think we could give them some guidance. And that's why I would pull it back to a committee.
Director Bright.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest moving this along and bring them on board, because you can have pre-meetings with them and discuss those sort of issues. I guess give them some credit as design professionals and taking that information. Fleece and Vandenbrink I have worked with extensively, not here, but when I was with the city of Grand Blanc, much smaller community, and they were the engineer of record, and I worked with them on a number of projects. So I have the utmost confidence. I know the owner of the firm. I don't have any stake or interest in this, so I'll make that up front. But I can just tell you from a professional recommendation that they do very good work, and they've been involved in other city projects here in Royal Oak. But just speaking from that, so to say they have a pre-meeting before a meeting, I'd have to kind of respectfully push back on that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't get input from stakeholders. They absolutely should. But to have the design professionals on, I would concur with Executive Director Twing that we need to have them under contract and working and part of that design team so they can understand that. So to come up with something that conceivably may not be able or feasible to design, I'd rather have a designer and the engineering professionals there in the room and to hear this firsthand. So.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the proposal or Fleece Vandenbrink. I know they've done a lot of work. I know some people that work at Fleece Vandenbrink, and I've even worked with them. So they're great. What I'm only suggesting, and what we've done effectively before on big projects, is to take it back to a committee. It could be for 30 days. We could report back next meeting and say, here's some parameters that we want to give beyond the 4 or 5 sentences that we gave in this request for proposal. Let's give them a little bit more to work with, and I'm sure they'll do a great job with it. But I just think, representing the businesses, we should take a first crack at it, give them some elements that are exciting to us, and before they get into their process. I'm not saying change the process. I'm just saying let's do a dress rehearsal here before we launch into their process.
Tony, I think all anyone is saying is to put them under contract, not to stop what you're doing, but to agree that this is the firm we want to go with, and then give them your input. Because I don't disagree with the city manager here, Director Brake, in this form and fashion. We just need to get them scheduled to start your process and theirs. That's where I'm seeing it as. I think there's just, it's like cart horse thing. It's not negating any of the business owners and how you want to get things done.
I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think 30 days, they're still going to be excited about the project. We don't lose anything.
I think that part of the problem I'll just speak for me. Part of the problem that I'm having is I'm having trouble, as I'm reading through this, understanding exactly the scope of their work. And I see some of it here in section 3.
There's a good page.
Is there a better area that I should be looking at?
Yes.
Hold on.
Well, the scope
Page 7 has a
of their
section.
work is to come up with a design that's acceptable to this board and to the city commission, because it's part of the public right-of-way, after it receives this input from the various stakeholders. So the scope of work is to do that design from the entire right-of-way. There is no preconceived what's included, what isn't included, other than that their parameter is to look at everything from Center Street to Lafayette and do that design. So there is nothing that says do this, do that, other than come up with that design. So at the kickoff meeting, which could be with the infrastructure committee, you can set your parameters at that meeting and tell them what you'd like them to do in specifics and drive it from there. I just don't see any need, if this is an acceptable proposal, to wait. Let's get it moving.
I would say, Chairman Sophia, that
Yes.
page 7 and page 8 pretty much outline what their statement of work looks like, and then there is a projected schedule of how they would start.
And that schedule was based on staff's proposal that was put out to the firms that are already contracted with the city. So this is anticipating, based on when this board put together the 22-23 budget, it was the $1.25 million for placemaking and this plaza development to occur by June 30th, 2023. And this would fall in line with construction beginning in spring 2023 to begin outlaying those funds.
I mean, and we're even behind, right? So 30% designs were September 23rd, right? So I guess maybe the 30 days is going to matter if we're going to try to hit the ground running in spring, right? So that's the caveat, right? So if we don't get them if we go 30 days, then maybe it's a summer project, right, rather than a spring project.
And we don't want to interrupt summer.
I see where Director Yesvic's coming from here. I understand his concerns, and I have some of those concerns myself. And that's, to be honest with you, some of those concerns are with other projects that we've done through the city where I don't feel like the DDA has had enough input in, and we tend to rely a lot upon these engineering firms who, as Director Yesbick said, don't live and work down here and have stake in what we're doing. And that's not to say that they're not going to do a good job. I believe it. I know that engineering is going to be with them all through the process and everything else too. I guess I'm willing to go ahead and move this along, but I really want to make sure that we have a caveat somewhere that
DDA's driving it.
That the DDA is sitting in that next seat right along with these people as we go through this, because I think there's other things that there are possibilities that we can do with this other than lighting and streetscaping and wayfinding and everything else too. I think that there's decorative work, there's signage, there's green space, there's so many things to talk about, and I'm hoping that they'll be on the same page with us with that.
I guess, Chairman Safai, I think the other side of this that I'm looking at from just the business perspective is, do we understand if we're going to close this off and make it a placemaking type of area and really activate it, what does the porch situation look like from that perspective for the businesses that currently have outside dining into the street? Because this then doesn't become a street anymore, it's a park. So I don't know if we have city ordinances that then change or things like that.
And I think to Mr. Twing and Mr. Brake, I think the reason why, I'm not saying you're getting pushed back here, but the reason why there's concern is that I know that I've talked to a couple of people on the board, and I have a vision of myself that this is going to be, this Fifth Street project could be a footprint for other areas in the city that could be developed similarly, and that we could have different sections of the city, whereas the businesses within those districts could have events and have do things on their own, that may be just concentrated in their district and only in their district. I see other areas of the city that there's a potential to do that. And I think that's why we have so much concern here. So, again, I'm willing to move this forward, but I really want to make sure that we can ride along with this project closely.
Well, I guess the only caveat I would add to that is this is your project. This is a contract you're going to enter into with the design firm to come up with a design that you approve. The only caveat I put onto that is it's city right-of-way, and so the city commission would also see it at some point during the process. But you are the contractor, you're the owner,
right,
and you're going to decide. It's not up to the Police and Vanderbrook, it's not up to city engineering. City engineering will have input on design criteria because there's stormwater and other things out there. I wouldn't make a preconceived notion that anything's occurring out there. Yep. The street may not be totally closed. There may be a fire lane, there may be something that comes and goes, there may be lights. The street patios may disappear as individual owned properties because those are all granted under a temporary license, and those may disappear. That's been true since they were approved. So those may disappear. I'll say may. I said may. Because this is also part of a social district where anyone could come and use and
So it
sit
could be
in
a city
and that kind of
cafe,
thing.
for that
So,
matter.
But I just don't think there's any need to hold it up to come up with design criteria or elements of the design, because that's what you're going to do once you pick somebody. I think it may be inappropriate to meet with Fleiss and Landerbrook if they're not under a retainer and tell them what you want. And you haven't done that with Noack and Frau. So I think your process should be to pick somebody. If you're not happy with their proposal, by all means, punt it for a month.
Yep.
I will say if it's not a unanimous vote today, it's going to get punted a month anyways, because it'll fail.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Just, if I may note on the timeline as well, punting a month means a month from here, but this still would need to go to infrastructure committee, which we need to have folks
Still
come
have
to that
contract.
committee. And the next available meeting is September 5th, which is Labor Day, which means September 12th likely. That is under consideration that they offer a recommendation, but doesn't take into account of if we punt this down the road to put together some design principles to put into a proposal that we then have to offer out for at least 3 weeks to different firms to engage in it. We're looking at potentially December, January before something gets selected to start the process.
Gotcha.
And one,
Understand.
One other comment. I mean, Tony, this is what I do a lot in regards of just owners' project requirements, right? So, as us being the owner, right, one of our first and foremost documents we create with the owner, or even, but we can do it as a group, right, is to create our owner's project requirements. We want this. We can go meet with, we can have that in hand for the first meeting that we get introduced. And here's our owner requirements, and this is how we're going to measure success, right? On budget, fountain, whatever those things might be. We can control that. I'm positive of that. And I think we can do that through the infrastructure committee.
Director Yasmin.
I'm not trying to be obtuse here. I understand it. And by the way, I'm confident that those street decks are going to disappear. No question. If we're going to do this correctly. So I appreciate that. But that's kind of my point. And I'm a professional too. As an attorney, you want people to be prepared when they come to you. So I think, conversely, I think we could save time if in the next 30 days we put together something, a committee, maybe a design committee, consulting committee, to give them more elements of what we want. I think we save time because what you're saying is we have to give them something to work with. And that's what I'm saying. I think that's exactly what I'm saying. So I suppose you support, giving them more information helps them do their job better. And as Tim said, we have to approve the design. I guess I'm looking at it the other way. I want to help them make the design that we're going to approve. So I want to get to them first before they come to us. I don't want to not approve what they do.
Right.
So that's what all I'm saying is more information.
I think your concern, though, I think we're all confused on the concern, though, is this not the right design firm? Because that's really all we're doing today is voting
approving
on
the design firm.
Is approve the design firm you want to give all that information to. Because that's really it.
The challenge behind that is we have to go back out to bid with the new information. We got to wait, get bids back, so then everybody's going to reprice that. So that's where the delay comes.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Fleiss Vandenbrink.
Okay.
I think
That's all we're voting on today. Is
Okay.
whether
So we
go
have a
forward.
suggested resolution before us.
I'll make a motion.
I'll support.
Motion by Director Rosbeck, supported by Director Brake. Any further discussion at this point on this subject? We will be talking about it some more, I'm sure, shortly. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay.
Fails.
So the motion fails.
Okay.
Any other motions at this time? Seeing none?
I guess I don't know if it would be considered, but I'd like the chairman to assign a committee to develop some elements, some input for the contractor going forward.
Well, we don't have a contractor.
whoever that contractor may be.
But can we approve a contractor? I guess I'd like to make the motion that we approve a contractor today. And that it appears that between these two proposals that we have, and I wasn't part of the committee, but I'm in looking at both of these, I believe that the recommended firm has given the best proposal and would probably see the vision that you want to see. So I don't know, can I repeat the motion?
No, it failed.
It failed.
So can I change it at all?
No.
No. Oh,
The only person that can is the one on the prevailing side. You can do a reconsideration, which would only be Mr. Yazbek.
Correct.
So you can move on.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll move on.
Okay. Next item is the iHeart Media proposal. Daniel?
This proposal, as the memo states, is part of the media purchasing plan that this board approved in April. Essentially covers advertising for 30-second audio in the Royal Oak area through 12 weeks, I believe, 9 weeks maybe. And then the other portion, which was the more expensive portion, which is up the I-75 interstate, which would, the two different factors being the first one that's more local is all of the things to do around Royal Oak, and the other one would be leverage up the I-75 corridor for those visitors going towards downtown, towards large sporting events, large concerts, essentially leveraging us as the place for them to stop in for a bite to eat, a drink before the game, after the game, and essentially putting Royal Oak more in their brain as a place to stop before heading to downtown Detroit, making us kind of synonymous with, you're going to the Detroit metropolitan area, we should stop in Royal Oak to patron their businesses, rather than going towards the downtown district.
Quick question. While I'm familiar with iHeart, is this also taking on their terrestrial stations as well? So the 100.3, or I forget who so they have other terrestrial radio?
This current recommendation or proposal is just for targeted streaming and does not include radio.
Okay. The other question is, can they geofence?
Yes.
Okay. I make a recommendation to approve this proposal.
Motion by Director Rosbeck.
Support.
Supported by Director Bright. I don't know why, but I thought we already did this.
I think we did it earlier on, and this is going through October to actually through the end of the year. So I think
Okay.
we did 6 months previously.
Okay, and this was run through the committee, right?
Yeah, this was run through the committee. The committee recommended this to the board for approval.
Okay.
It probably looked familiar because when I presented, I said that this is the total package of everything, but I'd be bringing individual proposals and contracts back, which states the impressions as well as the total dollar value.
Almost like a phase one type thing. Okay, I got you. Okay. Questions, comments? Okay, if not, I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Shop Royal Weekend Shopping Event.
This is another item that went before the Marketing and Business Relations Committee. As you can see here, there are more dollar values put into place, including a quote from Parkwright for a weekend of free parking in the decks. One aspect I will note is that previously this was a two-part event, which would start with a restaurant week and transition into a shopping weekend. Upon visiting the Restaurant Association, the sentiment from most of the businesses at that meeting was that they do not need the added foot traffic to October, and would rather see this event take place in the winter, such as January or February, which is why you will note that the Restaurant Week portion of this has been lopped off, but the Shop Royal Weekend is continuing in the proposal to be Friday through Sunday. And essentially myself and volunteers that I would gather would distribute these shopping bags. Retailers would opt into the program, and so essentially in working with the retailers there's a trade-off benefit, and so patrons that have the shopping bag and go to these participating retailers would experience at least 10% off from using that shopping bag at that location. In exchange, those businesses would be covered under the special event permit we would file as the DDA and would be able to go out onto the sidewalk for sales.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve this.
Motion by Director Rosbeck.
Support.
Supported by Director Brake. Okay. Questions?
Is that both portions?
It is both portions. I'm sorry. Yes, it's both resolutions. So I make a motion to support both resolutions.
And I will affirm that,
You affirm that?
support.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Any questions? I'm okay with the separation of the restaurant week. I mean, I think both of the events are strong enough to be on their own that they don't have to piggyback each other. So.
Absolutely.
I like this being in October because November gets busy and we have other, other small business opportunities in November.
Okay. So I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Item number 9, shopping spree giveaway, Arts, Beats, and Eats.
Just on the topic of retailers, at July's meeting, I touched on downtown dollars and having another plan to go along with the giveaway of 5,000 $20 gift cards that weekend. And this portion is a shopping spree. So essentially we would, through our downtown dollars retailers, and their help is anybody who spends $25 or more at a retailer starting Wednesday, August 31st until Monday, September 5th, would be entered to win a $1,000 shopping spree at participating retailers in downtown. We would do this by way of Yifty gift cards or the downtown dollar gift cards. In working with the CEO of that, Donna Novitsky, she's indicated that they're working on engineering to make it so they can only be used at retailers. However, we would also leverage our marketing and be able to track on the back end to ensure that they're only used at retailers. As part of this, a person could, say, go to Right Impression, spend $25, be entered on a little card that would include their name, their phone number, their email. They could then go right across the street to Lost and Found Vintage, spend another $25, be entered there as well. At the end of the weekend, I would go around and collect each of the days. And then on Facebook Live on Tuesday morning, we would go ahead and raffle these off, essentially inviting hopefully some retailers to come along and participate live on Facebook and to kind of promote their business further. And then the last aspect of this is simply, this adds a buy-in to folks getting those $20 gift cards on the weekend of Arts, Beats, and Eats. They need to spend $5 more out of pocket to be entered to win this, and so it's encouraging redemption of those $20 gift cards, as well as getting folks to put a little bit of money from their pocket into the pot as well.
Okay, any questions for Daniel?
I'd like to make a motion to support the 2 resolutions.
Motion by Director Rosbeck.
Support.
Supported by Director Brake.
I just want to say I love this idea. I'm also curious if we can make it more viral by actually when we award the $1,000 to maybe make, could we do a concierge and shop with them so they could go with, you'd be like basically their personal shopper and you'd be ringing the register. If we could get someone to agree to that, I think it would be a great social moment for us.
Yeah, I can work on that.
Okay.
Anything else? Director Yazbek.
This concept is brilliant. I love helping the retailers because they're a vital part of the downtown. So just these kinds of concepts are what we desperately need to help retail recover.
Could we even talk to some of the retailers like Chrome or even Bright Idea? I mean, not Bright Ideas, $1,000 would go really quickly, but I mean, could we go into some of our retailers and say, here's what $1,000 could look like to you? You know, I think that would be actually fun, and they'd get some promotion out of it.
Give you a truck full of coffee.
There you go.
Okay. If nothing else, I will call for the
Lounge
vote
in the office.
on this item. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Finally, you have a couple reports for your information. Mr. Twing, anything?
Nothing else to add tonight.
Nothing from Mr. Twing.
I got it.
Director Yesbick?
I promised a business owner that I would bring up or ask. There are some planter cutouts in the sidewalk on Washington, the east side of Washington specifically. That there used to be trees. There's not trees there anymore, and he believes it's a bit of a hazard without having the trees in there and tree boxes. Are we?
We're aware of it. I believe DPS is in the process of trying to put more trees in it. The problem has always been getting tree grade replacements too on some of those. The older street segments are hard to find tree grades that fit in those, but I believe they're working on putting more trees in.
All right, great.
I'll check tomorrow though.
Report that, and I'll also report that on the opposite side of Washington, there's a handful of street lights, maybe 4 or 5, that they flicker constantly, and I don't know if
there's
DPS
been some
is...
power issues on various segments of downtown. Again, the older parts are in metal conduit, and when it corrodes, it takes out the actual lines or shorts them out. And our facilities person is putting a plan together to find where all of those are. And you may be receiving a request to put a project together that fixes them all.
That would be great. It's been like that for a while, and it's not a good look for our downtown.
Right. And it bounces around. Yeah. There was some power out where some of the parking meters didn't work either. So
I've been telling people they're supposed to do that,
yeah.
but they're starting to question me. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything for the board tonight? Daniel?
The only thing for the board and business owners watching at home, if you go to our website, romy.gov/downtown, under that main menu is now a business hub, which has all of our facade information, other grants and resources, and ways to sign up for newsletters and apply for different permits like sidewalk cafes.
Thank you. Anything else?
Any motion?
Did we get any information on a date for when we might be able to meet with the city commission in regards to parking?
We did not. That hasn't happened yet. There's been, I know, some scheduling issues regarding, you're talking about regarding the parking situation?
Yes.
I'm not going to speak for Mr. Brake. He could probably update you better, but I know that there has been a lot of discussion at that level. I think that's the best I can do.
Quite simply, I put that request in motion, so I've already sent an email out, so I'm hoping sometime soon. It will not be before Labor Day, but sometime in the month of September. So once I hear it's, and again, it's can't be a quorum of the board.
Understood.
So just be aware of that. But yes, it's.
I just want to. I don't want to run on the rabbit trail.
Oh no, it hasn't fallen off. So no, in fact, a couple days ago, I sent out an email that says we need to get this together. So
thank you.
I already got the wheels in motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion. Director Yesbick.
So moved. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Director Yesbick.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Director Keith. Discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we are adjourned.